Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to my YouTube Live, my weekend YouTube Live. If you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would urge you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, and comment. Today, I'm going to talk about lawbreaker or lawmaker. When is it all right to break the law? So I'm going to talk about three things that happened. The first one is an incident which happened to me when I was in China. I lived in China for 1 year, October 2014 to October 2015, when I was teaching English as a second language. I had a medical emergency. I did not speak Mandarin. Luckily for me, I belonged to a Bible study group that had both expatriates, foreigners, and Chinese people. So when I sent a text, one of the Chinese guys who speaks English asked me what is wrong with me. And I told him, he said, okay, he's going to send the ambulance. So when the ambulance came, the Chinese man said, bring your money and your passport. So he said he's going to ask one of the girls to meet me at the closest hospital. So he joined her there, and when the ambulance took me and brought me out, when the doctor saw me, she said something in Mandarin, and the man and the woman, they burst out laughing. Since I did not speak Mandarin, I asked them, so what is funny? What did the doctor say? So this is what they told me. The doctor said that, in her own words, she is a foreigner. I am scared. So I knew that interpretation was made up, because I don't see how a doctor who has sworn the Hippocratic oath to make such a statement. So I said to them, so are you just going to leave me here just to die? And they said, no, we're going to call Nina. So Nina was a medical student, an African girl. She was actually my friend as well. Nina was an African girl, a young girl, an African girl who was a medical student in her last semester, about to graduate in a few weeks' time. So they called her and she said, bring her to my hospital. So they had to ask the ambulance to turn around, and they took me to her hospital, which was 30 minutes away. While I was going to the hospital, I was going in and out of consciousness. So I told Kevin, I said, Kevin, if I don't make it, I have a will by my bed. He said, shut up. So they were praying, and they were speaking in English and Chinese. I heard interpretation. They were going back and forth. When I finally got to Nina's hospital, she was at the entrance with a syringe in her hand. I don't know why the paramedics did not do something. Anyway, that was China. So when she came to me, she examined me and she said, Francisca, I am not yet a full-fledged doctor, but I can give you an injection to stop the bleeding, since the other Chinese doctor refused to help you. Would you allow me? I had lost so much blood I could not think straight. So I looked at the man and the woman who were there to help me, and they all shook their heads, and I told her to go ahead. So she gave me an injection, and within a few minutes, the bleeding stopped. So you see, she had to break the law to save my life, because she wasn't a full-fledged doctor, But she told me, because of the circumstances, she used her initiative and she gave me an injection. So that's one way somebody broke the law, but it saved a life. So the second one now, one of my Chinese friends told me that, Francisca, when are you leaving for Canada? And I told her, I am leaving October 5th, 2015. So I asked her, why did you ask? She said, Francisca, let me tell you something. Because you are a foreigner, when you have to leave China, just disappear. Do not give notice. You people in Canada, you give 60 days notice. In America, you give 30 days notice. In China, if you're a foreigner and you give notice, your landlord or landlady will bill you in arrears for your water and electricity. And if you don't pay it, they're going to cut off your water. I thought she was joking. I said, "You're joking, aren't you?" She said, "No, I'm not joking, I'm serious." So, just to make sure that she wasn't joking, I called another Chinese friend to ask her that. She said, "It is true." So when I spoke to my brother, who is now of blessed memory, may his soul rest in peace, he said, "Okay, just escape." So I escaped from China. So my flight was due out at around 12 noon from Hong Kong. So I left at 6 a.m. and I took the bus to the airport. I didn't pay the rent. I left October 5th and my rent was due October 5th. Jot down in the comments below if you would have paid the rent. If your rent was due October 5th and you had to fly out October 5th and they tell you if you give notice they're going to bill you in arrears, tell me in the comments below if you would have paid the rent. So guess what? I didn't pay the rent. The next day when I was in Canada, I got a phone call. "Hey, this is Henry. Where is your rent?" I said, "What rent? I'm already in Canada. I'm going to call the police on you." I said, "Go ahead and call the police on me. I'm in Toronto." So you see, I broke the law, but it was for a good reason. It was for a valid reason. So now, the third one was an incident which happened in France. Mamadou Gassama from Mali, Africa, also known as Spider-Man, living in France, on the 26th of May 2018, he climbed 4 stories in 30 seconds to save a 4-year-old boy who was hanging from a balcony. If you don't know this story, it was all over the news and it's on YouTube. And the French president met with him in the presidential palace and spoke to him, interviewed him, and he gave him French citizenship, automatic French citizenship. What this young man did, he broke the law, but he saved a life. Nobody in their right mind will be climbing a story like that, but he had to do it to save somebody's life. So, is it a lawbreaker or a lawmaker? Sometimes people break the law because of situations beyond their control. So if you see somebody breaking the law, do not always judge them that they are bad people. Get to know the story behind it. Thank you very much for listening. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, and have a good evening. I want you to comment on what I just said. If you have broken the law, why did you break it? And if you have never broken the law, either you're not speaking the truth, you're living under a rock, or you're dead. Because everybody, I can guarantee you, has broken the law in one time or another in their life. Thank you very much for listening. Wherever you might be tuning in from, have a very productive and prosperous week ahead. See you next Saturday. Bye for now.